Do you think this could destroy the biodiesel industry?
No, I don't think that it could destroy it. You know, what destroys it hurts it absolutely. What hurts it more is the price of diesel being so inexpensive versus a year ago, the collapse in the price of oil, the collapse in the price of gasoline and diesel. I think the biodiesel is always going to be hugely affected by that, more so than the other things. But at a retail level, you know, saying that it will destroy it implies it was much of a business in the first place. You know, I sell biodiesel, the only one in San Diego, and I can tell you that I might not very much longer. And it's not because I'm getting shut down, it's because nobody buys it. I mean, I sell 3, 4, 5 times the amount of regular diesel as I sell biodiesel. And I sell biodiesel for the same price, on the same pump, side by side, and the regular diesel sells 5 or 6 times what the biodiesel does. So at some point, you get tired of losing money.
And how do you feel about hydrogen?
Hydrogen has the highest noise-to-signal ratio of anything. You know, I have been involved in hydrogen this year, trying to build a station, in fact, here in Santa Monica. And when I say noise-to-signal, you know, for 4 or 5 years, hydrogen's been right around the corner, 5, 10, 15 years. And I used to ask the hydrogen engineers 10 years ago, when can I go buy a hydrogen car? And they'd say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And now you ask them and they say 10, 15, 20 years. Now, that's not to say there aren't some driving around. It's not to, and they're really almost exclusively in Santa Monica. You know, get outside of Santa Monica and anywhere else in the country almost, there are almost no hydrogen cars. And even here, you can't go buy one. You know, you can't go down to the dealership and buy one, and you can't next year either. So I think that hydrogen has a lot of long-term potential, but I think it's important to realize that it's long-term. I mean, can we go to Saturn? Yes. Can we go to the moon right now? You know, maybe we should do that before we go to Saturn.
So as more and more electric cars emerge, do you foresee traditional gasoline stations just becoming charging power stations?
Probably not, because they can't, you know, they're in the business of selling fuel. It's hard to sell electricity. You know, until they get fast chargers, until they get exchangeable batteries, yeah, I see the fuel stations eventually getting into exchangeable batteries. Like you go to Home Depot and you swap out your can of propane, bottle of propane. I can see you going to a fuel station, swapping out your battery. You know, imagine like your Black & Decker cordless drill that has an exchangeable battery, except it's bigger and it's at a station. I can see them doing that. But as far as going in and plugging in your car and waiting for an hour or two at a fuel station, I don't see that, but maybe more along the lines of at the malls and stuff like that, where you actually pay. You know, there's the chargers around. I have 7 electric chargers. We finally turned the power off because no one ever comes. I have 7 electric chargers. I haven't had an electric car come for a year and want to plug in. So again, noise to signal.
So gas is still by and far the largest source of fuel right now at your station?
Yes, but though ethanol, E85, where we spend most of our times, and I'm much more optimistic from a commercial perspective, we sell a lot of E85. I sell more E85 ethanol than I sell diesel. I mean, think about that. Lots of stations have diesel. Not very many have E85.
So do you feel threatened at all by the battery-powered cars, by electric cars?
Absolutely not. I mean, I can tell you that I have personally sold more electric vehicles than probably all these electric vehicles have ever. You know, I've sold hundreds of electric vehicles in San Diego. They're all discontinued, all those cars. Back in 2003, and we were selling all kinds of Think electric cars, Think cities, Think neighbors. You know, and not to say that some of these might not catch on to some extent, but it's just, as long as gasoline costs less than water, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but last year, just to prove the point, I bought a gallon of Arrowhead water in a gas station for $2.89 and bought a gallon of gas outside for $2.69. And there's 60 cents a tax on the gasoline. So as long as your number one competitor, and the number one competitor to all of us, and I say us, the biodiesel industry, the ethanol industry, the electric vehicle, the hybrid, the number one competitor to all of us is gasoline. And as long as gasoline's $2 or $3 or $4 a gallon, it will be hard pressed for any of these companies to really make it. The question is who can survive until it's $5, $6, $7, or $8 a gallon, and when will that happen?
So the fact that one can recharge an electric car at home or and other power sources that don't necessarily require someone to go to a gas station to power their car, do you feel threatened at all by that?
You know, I don't, because outside of this conference, and outside of the city of Santa Monica, There are very, very few people willing to spend hours making biodiesel, for example. Very few. And those that do it run out. Well, I'm not going to make a batch this weekend. I'm just going to go to Pearson Fuels and buy the biodiesel or buy the ethanol. So I think that really helps. I mean, that's not I think those people are our comrades in arms or whatever in this industry. The real competitor is oil and gasoline, and the rest of us are tiny little specks, frankly, on that industry. And I think it's great when people make it at home. But again, let's say that's really successful. Well, nobody's paying taxes on that. That's a big secret of making your own fuel. You're not paying taxes. At my pump, I'm paying 60, 70 cents a gallon taxes. So let's just say everyone started making it home. How long is it going to take for the state to figure out all the revenue that they've lost? Because that's illegal. I mean, it's absolutely tax fraud. Nobody really cares because it's not very much. And I don't know, I'm not trying to make an issue of it, but I'm saying, wow, let's say that's really successful. Now the people have to make it at home and fill out a tax form, and the government's watching them, and I think it's fine but my whole thing is commercial applicability, scalability. Is it going to get to where it needs to get, to make a big difference outside of this room?
Thank you very much, Mike.
You're welcome.
Take
Thanks for
care.
having me.
Bye-bye.